The biggest World Cup debate is happening right now, and it's not about a goal, a red card, or even a result. It's about something that happens twice in every single match, whether anyone wants it or not. Picture this. The ball is rolling, the crowd is loud, momentum is building, and then the referee blows the whistle, and play just stops. Not for an injury, not for VAR, for a scheduled break that has nothing to do with the game itself. That's been the reality of every match at the 2026 World Cup, and as the tournament moves deeper into the knockout stages, the conversation around it has only gotten louder. Make sure to subscribe to the channel before we talk about what's actually going on here and why does it matter so much. Let's start with the basics. FIFA built this tournament around hydration breaks, 3 minutes long, twice a match, in every single game across all 16 stadiums. The official reason is player safety, with matches being played across the US, Mexico, and Canada in the heart of summer. Some of these venues have pushed past 30 degrees Celsius on match day. That's a real concern, and nobody is arguing players shouldn't stay hydrated. But here's where it gets complicated. These breaks aren't just happening in the hottest stadiums, they're happening everywhere, including venues with roofs and air conditioning, where the temperature argument doesn't really apply. And that's the detail that turned a safety measure into a full-blown debate. Broadcasters get to fill that 3-minute window with advertising. In the US alone, that's been estimated at around $250 million in extra ad revenue for one network. Add up every broadcast market worldwide, and some industry estimates put the total value of those breaks above $1 billion. So now the question on everyone's mind is simple. Is this about keeping players safe, or is this about keeping the money flowing? Here's where things get interesting, because this isn't just a fan theory. Players have spoken about how the stoppages interrupt their rhythm mid-match. Coaches have talked about how tactical plans built around continuous pressing or transition play get disrupted by a scripted pause. And commentators have pointed out, fairly, that the same 3 minutes apply whether it's 40 degrees on the pitch or a climate-controlled stadium sitting comfortably in the 20s. What do you think? Does a fixed-length break, every match, regardless of conditions, actually protect players, or has it become something else entirely? If you're enjoying this breakdown, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. We're covering every angle of this World Cup as it unfolds, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's look at how this compares to what other major competitions are doing, because the contrast is honestly the most revealing part of this whole story. UEFA, European football's governing body, has already made its position public. They've confirmed there are no plans to copy FIFA's approach for the Champions League or for Euro 2028. Instead, UEFA is sticking with its existing system, which only triggers a cooling break when conditions cross a specific heat threshold, measured using something called wet bulb globe temperature. Below that line, any break is left to the referee's discretion. Above it, it becomes mandatory. In other words, the break responds to the actual weather in front of the players, not a fixed rule written into the tournament format months in advance. This matters because it draws a clear line between two philosophies. FIFA's model treats every match the same everywhere, regardless of conditions, which critics say opens the door to commercial motives sitting alongside the safety argument. UEFA's model ties the break directly to measurable heat data, which makes it harder to argue it's about anything other than player welfare. The bigger issue here isn't really about 3 minutes of stoppage time. It's about trust. Once fans start questioning whether a rule exists for their benefit or for someone else's bottom line, that skepticism doesn't stay contained to one issue. It starts to color how people view ticket pricing, scheduling decisions, and pretty much every choice FIFA makes from here on out. And this isn't FIFA's first experience with a rule that split opinion. Cooling breaks themselves aren't new. They've existed in various forms since 2014, and most fans have made peace with them in principle. What's different in 2026 is the scale. With 48 teams in expanded format and dramatically more matches than any previous World Cup, the cumulative impact of these breaks and the advertising built around them is simply bigger than anything we've seen before. Would this issue change how you watch matches going forward, or is this just something fans accept as part of the modern game? Quick reminder before we keep going. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. More World Cup breakdowns are coming, and you'll want to be here for them. Let's talk about what this actually feels like for the people inside the stadiums and the ones playing on the pitch. For players, a hydration break sounds harmless on paper. In practice, ask any midfielder who's just built a rhythm of quick one-touch passing, and that rhythm gets reset the moment play stops for 3 minutes. Coaches have to manage this too. Substitution timing, tactical instructions, even momentum after a goal. All of it now has to account for a built-in pause that wasn't part of the game a decade ago. Some teams have actually started treating the breaks almost like a mini timeout, using them to reset shape or relay instructions from the bench, which says a lot about how integrated they've become into modern tactics, whether anyone planned for that or not. For fans in the stadium, the experience is a mixed bag. Some genuinely appreciate the pause, especially in the hotter cities, where standing in direct sun for 90 minutes plus stoppage time is its own kind of test. Others say it kills the atmosphere, the chanting, the tension, the flow that makes live football special in the first place. And for fans watching at home, especially across different time zones and broadcasters, the breaks mean something else entirely. They mean ad breaks. They mean a different viewing experience than what most fans have known their whole lives watching the World Cup. So now let's look at where this goes from here. The most likely outcome is that FIFA keeps the policy exactly as it is for the remainder of this tournament. Changing the rules midway through a World Cup, especially one already carrying plenty of attention on logistics and pricing, would be a significant and unusual move. The more interesting question is what happens after 2026. FIFA has to decide whether the hydration break stays as a permanent fixture of future World Cups, gets adjusted to match temperature thresholds like UEFA's model, or stays exactly the same simply because the broadcast revenue argument is too strong to walk away from. Worst-case scenario, if FIFA leans further into the commercial side without addressing the safety and consistency, expect the criticism to grow louder heading into future tournaments, especially with FIFA reportedly weighing even larger formats down the road. Best-case scenario, FIFA introduces a more flexible, condition-based system similar to UEFA's, which would likely quiet most of the criticism almost immediately. Either way, this debate isn't going away once this World Cup ends. It's likely to become one of the defining storylines FIFA has to address before the next major tournament. One more thing before we wrap up. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, subscribing helps a ton and it makes sure you don't miss the next one, so here's where we land. What started as a player safety measure has become one of the most talked about issues of this entire World Cup. Not because anyone disagrees that player welfare matters, but because the inconsistency between stadiums, combined with the money attached to those 3-minute windows, has made people question the real motivation behind it. UEFA's decision to go a completely different direction only adds fuel to that conversation, because it shows there's more than one way to handle this, and FIFA chose the version that happens to generate the most revenue. Which side of this debate are you on? Do you think FIFA's hydration breaks are genuinely about keeping players safe, or has this turned into something else? Drop your take in the comments. I'd genuinely like to know.